Ah.
Okay, so you are an educator. You're somehow a hip hop artist, but not somehow. You're a hip hop artist with all magic. Artist. We'll just go artist. You do artistry shit. You're a dancer. You're an event coordinator. What else do you do that we may have missed in this conversation that's gone all over?
I mean, I that's the gist. I mean, like everything kind of flows from me being an MC and a performer, but like like I said, like I work with an organization called Ciphers for Justice as a researcher. Uh, I'm a published essayist. So, but all of it's basically born of like my experience in hip hop culture and the love that I have for it and like my study of it. So, and this is what I was saying earlier with the KRS One. Like that's what I took to heart. It's like, okay, so if I sell 10 rap records for the year, that's okay because the shit I said on the records and the approach I took or the research that I did, I can go. I lectured at Indiana University 2 years ago about the effects that the golden era had on the emergence of me as an educator and as um, a social justice activist. And I explained in the paper how, like, the ideas and the themes that I was exposed to in the 90s really fueled my ethos. And I talked about how that ethos is not just in hip hop music and culture, but in black culture as a whole. And how if you tap into that, it can lead you in these particular directions. And that paper got picked up by the Golden Era uh, conference. The keynote speaker was Prince Paul, and I was the only one on the panel that wasn't a PhD and wasn't a musicologist.
Yes,
Everybody else, yeah, everybody else was an established academic, and this is a lot of my life. I'm always in places that people don't expect me to be, and I've gotten in those places. I've walked through those doors, or I've sat at those tables because what I'm me, and I've made it. I made me. I'm an expert at it, and I have a really deep passion for something that I'm able to express and articulate in a lot of different ways and apply it to a lot of different things. But that frees me to rap about whatever the fuck I want to rap about. 'Cause that's really what I'm trying to do. I just want to fucking rap and make the music that I want to make for the people I want to make. And even that shit's allowed me to tour and, do festivals in Europe and Africa and Asia and, win awards and all of that shit. But I'm never going to be as popular as the Roots or, be considered a legend like Tribe. But like everything that I do and like my life is built around like my
your
music.
life is so much like, I mean, your life is just so interesting. At the end of the day, like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Playing for like Jimmy Fallon for a decade is probably a really great gig. I'm not even gonna shit on that. But like at the same time, I would be love to just do half the shit you're doing, just touring. I want to go to Africa. That sounds so fucking blessed. I want to go save kids, not like save kids, but like go fucking be some influence because I'm able to take this skill set and apply it in such a way where other people can avoid hurdles and shit that I hurdled through. Like, and just like there's a lot more to life than say like materialism in it. A lot more like the current trend in corporate land is this idea of a servant leader, which is ironically the kind of life you basically live, which is fascinating to see how all the really really rich people are trying to be more like you. So in a sense you found some kind of wealth source inside of your soul that I find highly appealing.
Word. Yeah, it's weird how that works, right? Because we're being sold being an individual. That's kind of what we that's kind of what there's a whole industry, multiple industries centered around teaching you how to be you. And to be you, you just have to live. Like you just got to go out and like
that was
go through
something
it.
I wanted to touch on a little bit earlier. You said something super nifty to me. You got to New York and you grinded, and it was like all work. And then I thought to myself, part of the reason I'm able to be like more versatile with my shit is because I took the time to go to like a bird sanctuary, which got me thinking about these yellow chickadee bullshits. I think they're chickadees. I don't fucking little yellow birds and ducks and turtles and shit. So you you see different shit. You know, you see a hot girl or whatever. You just see things. And then it's like sometimes you gotta like stop and go like smell roses in your life in a way so that you can both digest the shit that you've been living, but also just go see some shit that's not what you've been seeing in like a quite literal way. Otherwise, how can you really approach art differently if your life is the same cycle without any break or deviation? There has to be like living added into that equation. Your life has to, like, I find, progress in order for you to stay relevant within yourself. You've managed to find ways to do that, but I feel like not a lot of people talk about that. And when they talk about living, it's partying. But I'm like, nah, I'm saying like fucking kayaking. If you ain't been kayaking, you don't know what the fuck kayaking is. How could you, like, you know, like, that's a bar, like kayaking on the fucking waters, free around the mountains, the blue skies, you know, like that bullshit is real, and motherfuckers know what kayaking's about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's real, and it is that simple. Like I have a line that I have in one of my songs, "Pretty," and like the end of the bar is like, the meaning of life is just to live, and like that's what I believe. Like, you just have to go out and experience things. And it doesn't mean it has to be grandiose. You don't have to go to like some mountain and climb it, or like, you know, walk through a fucking jungle. You just have to go out and have like authentic experiences and like really be in them and really connect with them and connect with people and really be honest in that connection. Whatever that is. It doesn't have to be grand. It could be simple. It could just be a talk. It could just literally be like a mentioning about like what you just saw walk past you with a person, or a moment that y'all caught something at the same time and a little joke happened out of it. Like being attuned to that as much as possible, and you'd be amazed at the things that you can sort of create from that. But like that all sounds like super like esoteric for people, or new agey, or like what the fuck. What most people think is like there's a book and a manual with a whole bunch of instructions, and I just follow that, and then I'll get the thing. It's like everybody thinks it's like Eat, Pray, Love or some shit. Like no.
Actually, Eat, Pray, Love is spitting what you're spitting, but people misunderstood it.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like she wrote that book, right? And it's basically was like my life fell apart, and I just decided to just go somewhere, right? But it's like that was her experience.
Yeah, but it's her version, you know what I mean, of that shit.
Right. But her book wasn't meant to be like, go do what I just did to get what I got.
Like people really misunderstood the point. It's like to teach you to go follow your own version of that shit, and then the same thing happens over and over again with the fad books, so people kind of miss the point. But there's a reason they all say the same thing. Because it works for a lot of people. Like a lot of people, you go live some life, you get some experiences, you find a way to stand out, be interesting, mostly become comfortable with yourself, and then you can reflect yourself into the world via laws of attraction. You attract better people, blah blah blah, and it just kind of cycles up towards better things in your world.